People are trying to cancel Joe Rogan. People are also trying to cancel the platforms which enable people who are not as famous as Joe Rogan, but who are making a living out here in the independent media ecosystem. Let's put this up there on the screen. And this is not an op-ed, it's a freaking news article from the Washington Post technology desk. Quote, conspiracy theorists banned on major social networks connect with audiences on newsletters and podcasts. Ooh, dangerous. Newsletter company Substack is making millions off of anti-vaccine content, according to estimates. And they point to some problematic folks who have been banned from YouTube or wherever and are making some money on Substack. And Substack had a very classy response, at least, and said, look, we don't believe in censorship. We believe in free expression. We believe simply in enabling technology which allows that to happen. We have content rules, plagiarism, anything that explicitly encourages people to do something which is actively dangerous or as well as harm, doxing, violent, the classic stuff that you get. And anything that doesn't violate that, we are going to err on the side of free expression. But this isn't coming. It's not a coincidence that's happening at the same time as Rogan, Krystal. It's a concerted effort by the media and the people who are threatened by Substack and by these alternative platforms in order to try and destroy many of their competitors. They cannot stand that anybody who has been banned, at least on the tech platforms that they prefer, has the ability to get their voice out in any other way. It's disgusting.
They don't like the competition, and they can't stand not having complete control over what can be said in the public sphere. I actually thought the response from Substack was really good. They said the more that powerful institutions attempt to control what can and cannot be said in public, the more people there will be who are ready to create alternative narratives about what's true, spurred by a belief that there's a conspiracy to suppress important information, which I think that's a really important point, that all of your efforts at censorship and labeling and moral outrage and panic attacks over, oh my God, these unfettered conversations happening on this platform or that platform, you're only causing people to feel like, oh, well, what is so dangerous about this information? Why does this have to be suppressed? Why can't you just deal with that in the light of day and ultimately have these conversations? I also think it's funny because, I went and looked at Substack and who the top writers are in politics right now. The number one person in politics is still Heather Cox Richardson, who writes Letters from an American, she's like a resistance lib.
It's like a wine mom. Listen, by the way,
there's nothing wrong with.
Props
it's
to you,
about
Heather.
history, but she has this very resistance-y of ideology.
Whatever.
Okay, and she's been very successful there.
Good for her.
Number 2 is the Dispatch. Isn't that
Yeah, it's the cringe never Trump.
It's like a never Trump thing, right? So that's number 2. Then comes Taibbi.
Okay.
Then comes Bulwark, which is another
once again a cringe never Trump
thing.
site. Yeah.
So the article paints it all that's on Substack is anti-vaxxers, right? That's the way they want to make you feel like what were some of the social, Parler or whatever that did becomes, or Gab that did sort of devolve into this just total right-wing conspiracy-laden nonsense. Right. Substack has people literally across the entire ideological spectrum.
That's the point.
Including, we had a Substack. We don't really tend to it anymore. I have a Substack with Kyle for Krystal, Kyle, and Friends. Glenn's there. Matt's there. There's resistance libs. There's never Trumpers. And yes, there are some, apparently anti-vax people.
Okay.
But the whole idea that it's going to be that an effective strategy in a democratic society is just try to censor the information that, that is wrong sometimes, or that is uncomfortable, that is hateful, that is outside of what you think the mainstream should be. It just doesn't work out. And by the way, it always comes back to, okay, well, who's going to be the censor?
Yeah.
Because these people have their own financial and personal and power interests in determining what the sphere of acceptable conversation ultimately is. So yeah, it's not an accident that they go through one by one every single platform. There's a panic about podcasts right now too. There was a panic about YouTube. There's a panic about Substack. every one of these new platforms is subjected to the same freak out about unfettered conversations and, you know, unregulated speech in these places.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And, you know, here's my favorite about who latches onto these campaigns. Put this next one up there.
So
Chelsea Clinton's is anti-vax grift going strong. Why is Substack facilitating science denialists? They're making so much money a year publishing on Substack. Here is a great Glenn Greenwald response. Put this up there. I freaking love this. And I'm gonna read it because it is just so completely brutal. On Chelsea Clinton. That Chelsea Clinton is lamenting this Substack is profiting off of a grift. Apparently, this political heiress, who is one of the world's richest individuals by virtue of winning the birth lottery, of being born to rich and powerful parents, who in turn enriched themselves by cashing in on their political influence in exchange for $750,000 paychecks from Goldman Sachs, and who herself was showered with a $600,000 contract from NBC News, despite no qualifications, believes she is in a position to accuse others of grifting. This is the perfect response, which is, no, you're the grifter. You're worth $50 to $100 million. You're on the board of like Expedia. Oh yeah, I'm sure you're a frickin' genius, Chelsea Clinton. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. The people who are pushing the censorship campaigns, oh, some people are making a little bit of money on Substack. That $2.5 million is what these people make in interest a year off of the grift that they have been pulling off of on all of us, really, for the last couple of decades. So, you know, look, all we can really point to is that the attacks are coming strong. I knew they would. It was always my fear whenever we set up our business here. But ultimately, look, the reason to do it is because of all of you who are out there who speak out against this stuff. So the campaign continues. I don't know what else to say.
Personally, I'm very concerned about some of the warmongering lies and Russiagate lies that some of these other content creators on Substack have been profiting off of. So if we're gonna have a conversation about misinformation, let's have a fulsome conversation about misinformation and who is getting what wrong, where, and with what consequences.
Label every single thing the Pentagon says about Ukraine misinformation. And then I'll start to believe you.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll have more for you later. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it, you get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.